In the heart of Warwick, there's a pizzeria that's been captivating the locals' taste buds for the past 46 years. This restaurant is owned by my family and was opened up by my nonna, who came to England from Sicily in the 70s. So join me as I interview members of my family and find out the in depth origin of my family's business, while also diving into different Italian dishes that we sell.
Called Cimina. Cimina is a place about 40 kilometers from the capital, Palermo, which is southeast from Sicily.
Mhm.
I I came to England when I was in 1963.
Mhm.
And the reason I come to England because at the time when you're 18, you need to go to the army for 2 years. So I decided to come to England so I didn't have to go in the army. There was no pay in the army at all. I arrived in England in 1963 with a contract to work in a farm. The farmer was based in Evesham and we lived in a well, type of hostel which owned by the farm. They were a big farm in Evesham, Dunford it was called. So I would stay there for 3 years, finish my contract. After that, I went to work in Ford Foundry, pouring hot metal. That was half an hour working and half an hour off, but I loved it and I enjoyed it, being there for 7 years. I went back to it. I got married in 1974, and at the time I had a few properties. I sold everything else. I went back to living in Sicily, and I was for about 2.5 years, 2.5, 3 years. In '78, we decided to come back to live in England. And during '78, when I came here, I went back to work at Ford's again. And I started thinking about food then, because at the same time I was working in some hotels and restaurants part time again. And as I decided, well, we decided that there was a good idea to open a pizzeria restaurant. And that's what we did in '79. First restaurant was in Bass Street, Leamington Spa.
Well, I'd always been interested in food. I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, my grandmother was brought up in London, and her parents had worked in service, so I was used to Italian food because she didn't cook like most people did. And when you consider my age, I'm talking 70 odd years ago. So I ate artichokes, aubergines, and all things like that, you know. Whereas a lot of my friends hadn't had pasta or anything. And then my best friend at the time had started up her own catering business. So besides going to work, which I worked at Potterton's, um, in charge of like a computer type thing, and which wasn't proper computers then at the beginning. And I used to help her in the evenings and weekends and that sort of thing. So I got more and more into it, to be quite honest. And then it just sort of came that, yes, I can cook. So when Nonna did what he wanted to do, he said, yeah, let's go for it. I mean, it's no matter how hard it is, it's far better working for yourself than for somebody else.
First restaurant was in Bass Street, Leamington Spa. Only 7 tables and takeaway. We were packed every night since the day we opened because our pizza was absolutely amazing. And and the customers started coming from then.
The first week we were there and sort of went and you're helping and everything. And Nonna said, what are you going to make? You're going to make this, that, and the other. And I said, four. I didn't know I was going to. So his mum liked my lasagna recipe. So I did that, made minestrone, copied his mother's caponata, which we still have that same caponata recipe, which was Dominic's mother's, which I don't think you can better anywhere. It's absolutely fantastic. And basically, yes, lasagna, cannelloni, the basics are still the same within Italian cookery. The first week, yeah, I was there, I cooked. Dominic's aunt, who lived on the Sydenham, looked after your dad and Uncle Salvio. I didn't see them for days. We didn't go to bed, but we got it going. And I mean, it was fantastic to think that we made a profit the first week, which you wouldn't do now. No chance. But, it was good. Yeah, very good.
And then in 1982, we opened a restaurant in Warwick, 31 Smith Street, which is still there now. And then in 1986, we bought the property in Spencer Street, and we moved the restaurant 11 done from Bus Street to Spencer Street, which was big, and obviously it was better for customers. During that time, I became friendly with a lot of customers. They become regular customers, friends. I really had such a good time during that time.
I think that's what Italian food means to me. The being together, making a mess in a kitchen together and cooking cannoli and things like that, It's family, it's a binding thing.
Oh, everything. I always eat Italian food. You can't, it's so much you can do. And unfortunately, there's so much in advance. You bring so much you can, but you can't bring everything. Sometimes the ingredients, there, but we're doing it good. I think we're doing the best as possible.
Yeah.
That's why we're here after 46 years and still growing.
Yeah. If I'm honest, after all that information, I was a bit hungry. So I decided I would grab a friend to try out some of the dishes we sell here at Piccolinos.
Well, I tried something new. I had the Apollo, I think. I can't remember what it's called. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's like swordfish pasta. It was, I got myself a Peroni to go with it. It's all finished. There will be shorts of it. But it was incredible. I would recommend.
I had the Cappelletti alla crema, which is a cheese and cream based pasta, and I had garlic bread mozzarella with it to dip in the sauce. It was really good. It was amazing.
Cool.
Very, very good.
We're the black. I'm biased. So as well, but it's very good food.
But
I say we talk it out this year, and I say we sponsor.
We like it. And most importantly, right?
But it's free, probably.
Thank you.
I don't think it's my goal. I don't have to pay. No.
I believe it is quite difficult. I love it.
Go.
Quick shot.
Now, one of my favourite pizzas is the Quattro Stagioni, which is a capricciosa pizza. This means that the toppings are arranged in a certain way, which in this case, they arrange in sections to portray the different seasons. For example, the tomato and basil is summer, artichokes are spring, mushrooms represent autumn, and the olives are winter. Now, another bestseller, and favourite of mine, would have to be carbonara. This dish consists of a pasta and a delicious creamy cheese sauce with a bit of pork or bacon. The theoretical origin of this dish is that after World War II, Italian chefs made the dish with the leftover rations that the soldiers did not eat, such as bacon and eggs, which is what gave birth to the carbonara. If you ever find yourself in Warwick, be sure to check this place out. We would love to have you.